Hey everyone, it's Mio, and today I have a tutorial for you on how to knit a felt Anna from Disney movies Frozen. Since it's getting a little bit chillier for the winter season, I thought this would be a perfect tutorial for you. I hope you like it, so please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And you can check me out on Instagram. My username is FlyingMio. Let's just go ahead and get the tutorial started. To start off, you'll need a sponge or a foam board and some felting wool, and of course a felting needle. And to start off with the head, I'm just taking some flesh colored felting wool, rolling it into a ball, and just needle felting this down. If you're new to needle felting, this is a very easy process to do. You just have to make sure you don't poke your fingers, and the more times you poke through the wool, the smaller and more solid your object becomes. I'm just rotating my piece along the way until I pretty much needle felt a perfect sphere, and I'm going to flatten the forehead of the character a little bit so that she has nice round cheeks on the bottom. So all I'm doing is taking the needle and just needle felting the top down until it's a little flat spot on her forehead, and as you can see her cheeks come out a little bit. So I'm adding a little more felting wool at the very bottom because I really want to flesh out her cheeks and the bottom part of her face because that way it will look more cute. Anna's hair is the most difficult part, and what I do is crochet. So I'm taking some yarn and a crochet needle, and I'm going to crochet the round cap to form her hair. So I'm just taking my crochet needle, take some yarn underneath and pull through 2 loops. As you can see, this is the first loop of my crochet hat. To continue on the chain, just take your needle underneath the yarn and pull through the loop. That will make chain 2. Here's the 3rd chain, and here's my 4th chain. So I have 4 chains and it looks just like a braid. And I'm going to take my needle and place it through the first hoop. I'm going to take some yarn and pull through both the loops that you see on my needle right now, and I formed a small little circle. To make this into a larger circle, I'm just going to take my needle, place it through the center of the circle I created, and pull some yarn through. So I didn't pull it all the way through, so let me show it to you again. I'm taking my needle, and I'm going to place it through the center, grab some yarn, pull it through, and you'll see 2 loops on my needle. Take some more yarn and pull through both of the loops, and that will form my first knot. Now I'm going to continue to make more knots. Again, put my needle through the center, pull string through, I'll have 2 loops. Take some more yarn and pull through the 2 loops, and that will form my second knot. It's really easy, just make lots of knots, make at least 8. And you're just going to close off your first circle or ring, and as you can see, the circle got larger. Now I'm going to continue this process to enlarge my circle into a little cap like so. Once you're happy with the size, remove the yarn, tie a knot, and this is going to form the base part of Anna's hair, and you want to make sure this actually fits on her head. So here I fit on her head, and this is what it's going to look like. And what I'm going to do is cover this all up with hair. So I cut lots of orange yarn to form Anna's hair, and what I do is place my needle through the areas where I want to put the hair, pull through the yarn, and you're just going to pull both ends through the loop, and you have some hair. Now as you can see, I actually pulled hair through the front part of her forehead because I wanted Anna to have some cute little bangs. So as you can see here, the bangs are really long, but I'm going to cut them short later, about this in length. But I'm going to go ahead and finish the hair up first. So I'm going to put some more knots of hair down the midline of her head because her hair is going to be in 2 separate braids. This process is really easy, it just takes a lot of time, and just make sure that you're very meticulous about getting all the hair in. So as you can see, this is what all the yarn looks like on her head, and to make her hair more fuller, I'm actually going to undo some of the yarn. I'm just going to unravel it so it actually has more strands and her hair will be a lot more voluminous. So when you compare the hair that's unraveled like I did to her bangs to the rest of her hair, you can see that it has a lot more strands in it, and it just looks more realistic. And don't forget to add a white strand of yarn into her head because Anna actually has a white strip of hair down the right side of her head. Her hair might look like a hot mess right now, but don't worry, once we're done braiding it, it'll look much cleaner and neater. So I'm going to take half of her hair on one side, and I'm going to split it into 3 sections and start braiding. If you don't know how to braid, it's really easy. Just take the sides of the hair and cross it over into the center. So as you can see here, I'm taking the left side, I'm going to cross it over into the center, and now I'm going to switch. I'm going to go over to the right side, take the hair and cross it over to the center, and then go back to the left and cross it over center, and just keep going back and forth until you run out of hair. And make sure the hair is really nice and even so the braid looks really nice. When you're done, tie a knot at the end and loosen up the braid a little bit so it looks more natural. And all you have to do now is just cut off the edges so it looks more even, and you gotta cut her bangs. So I would recommend when cutting her bangs that you go very slowly and in increments because you don't want to cut off too much. So I just cut off a little bit at first and her bangs are still long, and I slowly cut them until they cover pretty much her forehead only. For her eyes, I'm using animal eyes. I bought these online, but I also seen them sold at Hobby Lobby and Joann's. They're called animal eyes. And I'm taking my felting needle and I'm poking a hole where I think her eyes will be placed and slowly insert the animal eyes in the right location. So now that Anna's head is done, let's move on to her torso. I took some turquoise felting wool and I went ahead and needle felt it into a cone shape, and the top part's going to be the upper part of her torso, and I covered the upper part of her torso in a light blue felting wool and I needle felt this down. This is going to be the upper part of her torso that's a lighter color, and it's also going to be the same color as her sleeves. For the rest of her dress, I took a darker navy colored blue and I rolled this into a circle, and I'm going to needle felt this into a shape of a half dome. Just take some extra time to make sure it looks really nice and clean. And at the very top, I needle felt it down into a little arrow so that it can fit the top part of her torso nicely, and needle felt the top part of her torso into her dress. For some added detail, you can needle felt some yellow wool into her torso, but you can't see it at the very end, so it's completely optional. You're also going to need some fuchsia colored felting wool, and you're going to needle felt this into a flat sheet. This sheet is going to form her cape, so when you're done it should look like this, and all you have to do is wrap this around her body and cut it into the shape of her cape. So I just pretty much cut off all the extra felting wool and needle felt this onto the back. Now Anna's cape actually has two layers, so I cut out a second top layer for her cape, and I positioned this on the very top and wrapped around to the front part of her torso, and I also needle felt this down. I took a darker colored piece of purple, rolled it in my fingers to form a long thin snake, and I needle felt this on the rim of her cape for some extra added detail, so her cape will look like this at the very end. All you need now is to add some extra details to her dress. So Anna's bottom of her dress has some beautiful flowers, so I took some green felting wool and just cut it up into small tiny strips and needle felt little green lines for the stems and pink little circles on the top to form the head of the flower. And I also took some yellow yarn and crocheted a long chain, and I'm going to hot glue this in the center of her torso where it meets her dress, just for some added detail. Although you can't see the light blue color I had earlier, I went ahead and used the same colored blue to form her arms. I just needle felted long little stems for her arms, and I went ahead and needle felt them to her sides. With that same color, I also took a long thin strip, rolled in my fingers to form a snake, and I outlined the bottom of her dress just for some added detail. I know I'm moving pretty fast, guys, but all you need to do now is Anna's cap. I took the same colored fuchsia I had earlier and needle felted a sheet, and I crocheted a long piece of string into a nice chain of white yarn to outline the outer rim of her cap, and I hot glued this onto her head. You should now have all the parts to make Anna. All you have to do is either glue or needle felt the head to the body. I chose to hot glue it, but if you want to needle felt it, you absolutely can. Just be careful you don't press too hard on the needle and reshape her head or her body. I also gave my character a little bit of blush. I took some pink eye makeup and just dabbed it along where her cheeks are. As you notice, I didn't give Anna any mouths or nose because I think it's cutest this way, but if you want to, you can absolutely give her a cute little smile. And that, guys, is how I needle felted Anna from Disney movies Frozen. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. For more like these, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I know on Instagram a lot of you guys have already requested for me to make Elsa, so I'll see if I can squeeze that in before the winter time is over. I want to thank you guys so much for your love and support. I really hope you enjoyed watching all my videos, and please stay tuned for more, and I will catch you guys very soon. Good luck crafting, everyone. Bye!